Welcome back to another episode of the Good Morning Minute podcast. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, certified family life educator, life coach, and the founder of Empower Her Steps. This season, we're stepping into a new series called Rooted, Restoring the Fruit of the Spirit. It's a conversation about identity, healing, and inner growth. While the fruit of the Spirit comes from a faith-based framework, the heart of the season is something we all can relate to. The qualities that shape who we are: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. And how life experience either grow or challenge those areas. We're not here to label people as good or bad, right or wrong. No, friends, we're here to explore what's beneath the surface, what shaped us, what stretched us, and what helped us grow. Today, I'm really honored to welcome Dr. Dominique Carson. She is a trailblazing wellness professional, award-winning massage practitioner, journalist, author, and speaker who bridges holistic health, storytelling, and community advocacy. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, she defied the odds of her environment to build an impactful career spanning wellness, education, media, and public speaking. Dr. Dominique, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Angelina. I'm excited to be here and engage in the conversation.
Well, I'm excited to get to know you further. You've done amazing things just in your life journey as of yet, and I can't wait to hear what other things are happening for you. But before we do so, I'd like to get to see where you are currently in your life as of right now. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, as you said, I am a proud Brooklyn, New York native. I currently live in the 757 now, which is Virginia Beach, the Hampton Roads area. I've been living there going on 6 years in April. And I will have to say, leaving New York City was such a comfort zone, but looking at my life is like I had to do that for my mental acuity, pace of mind. Going into my next level with God. I knew that, like, looking back at it now, I'm grateful that I did make the move that I made with my bow and it just changed my life. I feel like I prospered more when I left New York City. And New York City is always home to me. It's always good to get a good beef patty and cheese and cocoa bread and a hero sandwich from the bodegas, but that's just not my life anymore. And I had to accept, I don't know if Virginia is the final destination, but I'm enjoying this space that I'm in. And I'm really still in the phase of being comfortable with the uncomfortable and realizing that my timing is not God's timing and that I have to trust the process and trust in his timing. And that's very difficult at times for a person like me that plans, that organize, because I know without a plan, you're bound to fail, which is true. But then the latest steps in your life you can't control. Those are the things that you have to give it to God. And that is giving up your preferences on how you see your life to be. Even though I have accomplished a great deal, I know a part of that journey was because of trusting God's guidance and the relationships and the situations He's put in my life, even now. As I continue to grow in the wellness industry, I'm pursuing my doctorate degree at Legs University, which came such a crazy time, losing relatives that I love. I lost two uncles in 7 months. And my second uncle that passed away 2 weeks before Christmas Eve, that was my favorite growing up, especially as a child. And I look back at my life, a lot of the nuggets, I call them the rods of life now, that he left such a blueprint for me to, see and how to figure out things and let God orchestrate the things in your life while doing the work. So that was a tough pill to swallow because we were still grieving my other uncle, who was like my creative arts mentor, my massage therapist mentor. I would not be the massage therapist I am if it was not for that man. And then my other uncle, 7 months later, who is just like, the best way I could put it is like science. Like, you know how they have organelles of the cell? My uncle was my mitochondria. That was my powerhouse in my life. That was the secret source that I had in my upbringing, and that he was a part of my fabric more than I thought. And to still have that and to receive the triumphs in my life during this difficult time, it's been a month since we lost him, and it still feels surreal.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So that's some of the things that my family and I have been dealing with during this current time.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that and just a moment to reflect on your loss. My condolences. That
Thank you.
I've lost. It's been some years now, but I remember losing my dad and it hitting me so impactfully. Like it knocked me off my feet the
Mhm.
moment I heard that he had passed. And I can just imagine someone so important in your life and just a pillar in your life for that to be taken away. I can imagine the adjustment
Yeah.
to go
I
through.
had a weird premonition about it too. I was telling this to my mom a week before he died. I called her and I said, "Mom, I had a dream about Uncle Rodney talking to me as an adult, but he was young. And usually when you get those type of dreams, somebody's about to transition.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think this quick. So I was on my calendar and I was telling my beau, I was like, babe, I really need to take some days, especially traveling and mobile massage therapy. I really need to take some days off the holidays. And I looked at this date and it said, take that date off. It was like my spirit was saying, take that date off. And I took that date off the week before he died. And the funny thing is, my mom was like, I'm glad Dama's not working. That's the first thing she told my aunt. So everybody thought I took that same day on that day. It was like a week in advance. It was like, okay, I think God knew that I wasn't able to work on that day. And I'm just so grateful that I did not work on that day. Every situation, family situation that was difficult, I managed. But for him, I'm just glad I did not, because it wouldn't have been good for me.
Mm. Yeah, I can imagine. And you know what I'm also hearing in your story too is how intuitive you were open to listening to the God's spirit and God,
Mhm.
you know, gentleness and prepping you for
Yeah,
this situation. And
yeah,
I think there's several moments in life where if we were to just be in the presence and in the present moment and open up, and have a relationship with God in that capacity, he will prep you for those things. Now he's not going to
absolutely.
prevent them, from happening, but he definitely helps see you through it. And I was listening to a Bible cast earlier this morning, and they were talking how when we pray for strength or we pray for courage, it just might be that God puts you in an opportunity so that you can use your courage, so that you can
Yeah.
use your strength. And so, I just kind of see that I'm just kind of meditating on that word this afternoon and just kind of going, wow, he really does, because we already have a lot of those strengths within us, but at times in
Hmm.
our life, it is asked to come forth, like it's pulled up
Absolutely.
from us. So tell me a little bit, Dr. Dominique, about the the learning, if any, in these moments. Is there anything that you're figuring out about yourself, or even in that conversation where he's appearing to you as an adult? What was that like? Like, did you discover anything new that you maybe didn't realize, or maybe it was more of a, okay, now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense.
Okay.
My uncle, from the time I was a child, I was one of the nieces that ran to him. Anytime I heard his voice, anytime I smelled cologne, he's the only man I know that can seemingly add cologne and cigarette smoke, and it still smells good to this day. Nobody else can do that, but my uncle did that.
Uh,
And anytime I heard his voice, I was running to him as a kid. I knew I was going to get love. I knew I was going to get hugs. I knew I was going to get jokes, but I knew I was going to get nuggets, a lot of lessons. And he would give those lessons playing jazz, because that was his favorite musical genre, and building something. And the best advice he's called me, that's why I call him the rods of life, because his first name was Rodney. So I use that, the rods of life. He told me that you can determine a man's professionalism based on how to utilize their tools.
mm,
Now I can relate that quote to life. to massage therapy, to my relationship, to my professional and personal relationships, even your relationship with God.
Mhm.
We have so many tools and so many nuggets that God gives us. We have to have the courage and the strength and ability to utilize them to our advantage. So you're hearing this as a kid and you're like, okay, but now as an adult, it makes sense. So a lot of the nuggets he gave me, a lot of those special conversations we had, and he was very stern about people looking at him in his eyes. So
Mhm.
he could read you and feel you out when you look in his eyes. And he was just a man with character and integrity. That was everything to him. Because you can have skill sets, but if you don't have character, that's not going to keep you there. But that was the biggest rod I could take, just your professionalism and how you utilize your tools. And I could say, like, he really made my childhood rich with so much humor.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Sounds like a beautiful person.
really was.
And probably brought a lot of light into the world, and
Mhm,
shine very bright for everybody. It sounds like when he engaged with people, he was really intentional about
mhm.
engaging. Um, so taking this experience that you recently have gone through, what's the healing part of it? Like, how are you feeling now a month later?
Like I said, now I have two uncles to
Mhm.
grieve. Like I said, my uncle Ricky was, I am the journalist and the massage therapist I am because of my uncle Ricky. He
Mhm.
encouraged me to use storytelling. He encouraged me to put me into my writing.
Mhm.
And that was like the greatest inspiration he gave me when he found out I was really serious with massage therapy. I was such an advanced novice because I listened to some of the things he taught me. He was like our plant whisperer. He was our herbal medicine man in the family. He was just so gifted. And his passing remind me, like, don't waste your gifts. Don't waste your potential.
Mhm.
Waste it. And I think both of my uncles taught me that no more time wasted. You have to maximize every opportunity still. And through all of that, I got accepted to my doctoral program. I was fine with honorary doctorate. I was like, okay, God, this is because I didn't think about going back to school for a PhD. I was fine with my master's and my honorary doctorate. But like they say, when you make your own plans, God laughs. And I just believe that now that He wants me to do this doctoral program, and it's a subject matter that I know how to do, which is massage therapy, I want to dedicate my dissertation topics to my uncles. The plant whisperer, for one, and my other uncle, the ironwood of carpentry, because my uncle Rodney was a carpenter for New York State for 37 years. So very gifted, both of them kinesthetically, and me following that aspect of it as a massage therapist. I really want to just dedicate that topic and thank them for their input that they put in my life as their niece. But my
Mhm.
uncle Rodney, like I love all my uncles, but my uncle Rodney was that uncle for me.
Yeah.
That was my uncle. Like I still get emotional because I mended that relationship with him 11 months before he died. We had such a family feud that really had nothing to do with me and him. It was just life, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful to God that I was able to mend that relationship with him. And when we mended it, it was like we didn't miss a beat. And that remind me when seeds are real and they're rooted in love, it may shift in gear, but it's still grounded and it's still profound. And
Mhm.
that's how I had to look at that. And I thank God for that, that I was able to mend that relationship. We're both stubborn, him and I. I'm on my side, he's on his side.
Mhm.
And I just think God had to intervene in that relationship before he transitioned and went home to glory.
Mhm. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. You talked about seeds, being planted early in life founded, in love, grounded in love, that ultimately just keep you connected. And so, there's plenty of us out there that have those moments where we are arguing with family or there's family drama. Um, and I think there's also a saying that says, like, the people that hurt you the most are those that are closest to you. So
Yeah.
family members, right? Um, but they're also the ones that you can forgive easier
Hmm.
and reconcile with because
Hmm.
of the bond that you have. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to highlight is if someone is giving value in your life and to you, there should be a way to forgive and reconcile. Now, not every relationship needs to be reconciled,
Exactly.
for what I'm saying, but that overall 11 months to reconcile and say, okay, we're coming back together. You're my family. I really value the input that you have. I've grown from it. I've actually built, some of my life achievements upon these lessons that I learned so young. Um, yeah, that's a relationship that you surely don't want to let go because it brings so much to you.
Hmm.
And even your Uncle Ricky with the storytelling and how you've built
Hmm.
journalism upon that. I think that's beautiful too. There's so much power in storytelling. There's so much power
Absolutely.
when you share your most vulnerable self with others because others can connect to that rawness, I feel, because they understand, because you're connecting almost spiritually with one another and going, you know what, I've been through this, and someone out there that's listening probably has too.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some of the journalism and you're an author, so there's some books there. Tell us a little bit about that.
I it's funny, like the stages I'm at in my life, it was I think relatives saw the dream, they saw the vision. When I was 10 years old, my grandmother was cooking breakfast. She told me I was gonna write books. And I just stopped, like, what? She said, you heard anything she said, you heard what I said. She was the same person that said, you're gonna have another career using your hands. I think my grandmother was very intuitive. And I think if you had like a stronger relationship with her, that was something she wanted to feed and see the dream and see the vision in you. It was up to you to follow it. So journalism came into my life. My favorite journalist that passed away, Ananda Lewis. I saw her on Teen Summit as a kid and I fell in love. I was like, this is what I want to do. I didn't want to be on television, but I wanted my writing to have impact and meaning. And when I was in elementary school, we had this literary concept called author's purpose. And I thought of what it entails. And I said, okay, that's what journalists, that's what we are. We are literally authors to the world, depending on the which stories that we have to give out for the day. And it was a dream. I told my mother. She focused on my mechanics because of my hearing deficiency as a child, making sure that was underplay. My grandparents got involved. They got into every magazine they could find to advance my vocabulary. My cousin Iyani, a phenomenal poet and writer. It was like I was absorbing the information she was giving me because we were closer in age, even though she was 3 years older than me. That was the closest thing in age that I had. And respected her writing and her craftsmanship in that, and it just followed. And I went to high school, went to one of the best high schools in Brooklyn, Edward R. Murrow, named after a journalist. That was my grandfather again. He was a bus conductor, and that was his route. And he's like, because he always called me Nikki Knack. He's like, Nikki Knack needs to go to this high school. I'm telling you, she's gonna be challenged. She needs to be around other smart individuals, and especially this is what she want to do, and get into their communication arts program. Got into it. I was even offered to graduate early twice in high school. And I was like, no, I really want to enjoy these high school years. Graduated from college, long story short, graduated my master's. Everything is flowing. I'm interviewing celebrities and everything is great. And yet I'm feeling unfulfilled. I'm feeling like there's something else that I need to be doing. Massage is something I always played around with. From when I was a teenager, my cousins always told me I had heavy hands. And I said, okay, I'm going to have heavy hands. I want to use them for good and not for bad. And the massage concept came around again. My grandfather on my dad's side gave me $100 for my 25th birthday. And I made a decision to apply to massage school because I felt like in that moment, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it at all. My mother thought at first it was bad timing. She's like, you just graduated with your master's and now you're going to go back to school and do it again. She was like, okay. And she's like, I know if you're serious, you'll get it done. And she saw that I was serious. I was working. She was like, all right, she's really going to do this thing. Like the curriculum was so strong. You would think I was going to school to be a nurse. But in actual reality, massage therapy is the extension of nursing. So I sharpened my scientific knowledge because of massage therapy. So I tell people I didn't find massage found me, because I thought I was going to be this Carrie Bradshaw, Sex in the City, living the nightlife. And that was my life for a little while. I would do my little 9 to 5. I call my girls up. I'm going to cover this show, call my family member, call my mother, anybody that wanted to come to me and, watch me cover a show, interview an artist, and they'll go. And that was my life. Like, 6.5 years, do my 9 to 5, do my journalism stuff, go right back to work, do it all over again. And I had to use my journalistic skills doing my 9 to 5, but I felt like there was something more that I needed to be doing. And now that I'm almost 7 years in as a practitioner, that was the best decision that I made. It was such a risky decision, but that was the best decision I made.
Mhm. I love that. There's so many little things in your life that you've just brought to fruition, um, all from the life that was spoken to you by your grandfather, your grandmother. Then, and I think that's something to highlight too for those that are listening, especially for those of us that are parents or grandparents. Words do bring forth life, and what we tell our kids, and like my intro says, we're not here to label people good or bad, right or wrong, but being
Mhm.
able to see our children and our grandchildren and go, you know what, you've got this special talent, I see the potential. Start speaking towards that potential
Mhm.
so that it builds the identity for that child. Like, I can do this. Your
Mhm.
grandfather sitting there calling you Nicky Knack and saying, you need to be challenged. You need to
Mhm.
understand what the world's about, but you can do it. I see it in you. For
Mhm.
him to say that to you at a young age, and because when we're young, we're open to all the world and all the experience. And
Mhm.
that's what I talk about when I talk about those things, building your identity and speaking to the essence of who you are. Those experiences are so impactful that we hold on to them, like the nuggets that you spoke of, so that we can start bearing fruit in our adulthood. It's when we talk negatively to each other or when we sit there and put each other down that it hinders growth, because
Yes.
we're piling on the weeds at this point. We're not gardening. We're not pulling up those ugly roots. We're just reinforcing negative things in our lives. And then we start believing that, oh, is everybody
Mhm.
judging me? This is what, a life is about? And then we're not able to produce what God has intended us to do. And
Exactly.
it takes the healing to do it for sure.
Exactly. And I mean, even with all the family support, I still have to tell myself, you still have to be your own cheerleader, because even though family could see the vision and they could see your gift, the timing may not always make sense to them. Like I said, I love my mother. My mother is a teacher. She told me what to do, what not to do. She showed me that you can have a career that you love and make a living.
Mhm.
And we just had this conversation recently. There are things in your life that you did that I may not agree with, but God told you to do it. And now I can understand to some degree why you had to do what you had to do. So this is what I'm saying. You have to believe in your own self. You have to believe and be your own cheerleader, because it's not going to make sense to everybody. It really not. I remember I had family like ridicule me because I wanted to go back to school and be a massage therapist. They was calling me like Lynn Searcy from Girlfriends, because they was like, "Oh my God, I thought she was a journalist and now she's a massage therapist." And I'm like, "Okay, who said I can't be both?"
Mhm.
And now you see how I merge both into
Mhm.
my career. So, like I said, it may not make sense for man, but God, it makes sense to him. And it's funny that people don't believe in you in the early stages, but as soon as you get successful, they're right there. No, keep that same energy. Keep that big bad wolf. energy. Because if you cannot be there for me for my worst, why should you should be there for me for my best?
Mhm. Yes, I think that's important, Dr. Dominique, when we talk about community and who we surround ourselves with, because what's coming to mind is the little hen who had the little chicks, this nursery
Mhm.
rhyme story, and she went around going, "Who's going to help me plant the wheat? Who's going to help me farm it?" And all, she's doing all of this, and her little chicks come behind her, and they're like, we will, we'll help you." But she goes around asking all the farm animals, and at the end, when she has bread and everybody's ready to eat, then it's like, "Oh, I will help you. I'll help you eat that." And she's
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
no, you won't,
No,
because
you won't.
you weren't there. You weren't there in the beginning when I was doing all the hard work. So the only people that are splitting this meal is me and my little chicks. And so
Yeah.
that makes sense when you say that, because there are people that will just kind of sideline things and see how it goes, because they're going to be the first ones to laugh at you when it didn't work out, and they'll be the
Mhm.
first ones to want to, of course,
Yeah,
enjoy
you makes
the
sense.
luxury of it. For
Mhm.
sure. For sure. That's awesome. um yeah, so so you also are an author. Are there any particular books that you put out there?
Sure. So I'll gladly bring it. One second.
Sure.
Oh, ow, oh, ow, ow. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I had to get it out the closet.
You're good.
All right. So I have my massage therapy coloring book, Tribe. So this has been out for almost 2 years. Is an adult massage therapy coloring book, and it's an award-winning coloring book now. It's through the International Impact Book Awards. It received 3 awards, and we're going to be talking about it on CBS 5 next month. I do a recording of it, so I'm excited to talk about it. And then I released the educational version of it so people can understand why it's important to establish trust through touch with massage,
Mm,
why touch and connection and the foundations of massage therapy is just as important than the technique.
I
So
love that.
that's the latest books that I've been doing. And I think I'm gonna be taking a break because the next book will be coming from the doctoral program. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And when you talk about touch, I immediately go to love languages,
Mhm.
because touch being such a profound one. And it's funny because touch is often where a lot of trust is broken when we look at traumatic.
Yes.
And so, like for me, I remember taking the love language test, and my score on touch was absolutely zero. Like I could be okay with people not touching me. Now I know it's a necessity to life, so I know that other people speak that language, but I have to be in a mindset in order to provide that love
Mhm.
language to others. But that's been something, because I come from a past where touch hurt me,
I
and
get it.
to be vulnerable like that. So I love these healing things that you're putting out into the world to really explain that touch can be healing, and it really is. My motto is begins in relationships, because relationship is where trust is broken too. So I love
Exactly.
that about you. So you mentioned being your own cheerleader from time to time, because we all need to, because we're not going to always have an entourage of people
Mhm.
going, "Go, Dr. Dom, you're doing great." And sometimes in the heat of the moment, when you're creating those things, and you're trying to organize it, and you're trying to see clear the vision for yourself, you have to speak positive to yourself in those moments. What do you do to help encourage your own mental well-being and just
Mhm.
growth as well?
Okay, I'm gonna answer that question in a minute, but that
Sure.
was um, part of the reason why I did the coloring book and the educational version of Tribe because of being a child sexual abuse survivor myself. And it's unfortunate that 20% of people where their touch has been sexually violated by the time they were 18.
Mhm.
And I've been around clients that suffer domestic violence, rape, molestation, just any abuse that's just so neglectful, and to have a higher level of empathy and compassion for them and making them comfortable. And even a person like me doesn't always like to be vulnerable, but I had to keep retraining my thinking that vulnerability is still a form of strength.
Mm,
It's still a form of cleansing. And I have to keep telling myself there's nothing wrong being vulnerable. You just have to be vulnerable with the right people.
mhm,
Because I come from the school, like, you're not gonna see me with my pants hanging down. What? No, like, because I hate to say it, that sometimes people take advantage of your vulnerability, but this is where your spiritual discernment comes in, and your spiritual awareness comes in, and to navigate those channels and those setbacks that took place early in your life. And this can even go back to the recent question. You have to remember why God put you on this earth,
mm,
that God designed you to be extraordinary and not ordinary, that it's okay to be a square
mm,
than be in somebody else's circle. I've been different. I've been called strange, and the same nicknames I've been called from relatives. I have relatives asking me 20 years from now, damn, I should have did what you did. Damn, I should have followed what you should have, what you did years earlier, for
mm,
unnecessary heartache. And I really think I took the nuggets that was associated with my fabric to
mhm,
have less pain in my life, because I took those nuggets even down to my intimate relationship, and realizing that you have to get your house in order.
mm,
That's a part of being a success. That's a part of being a wellness innovator, is getting your own personal ish in order, cleaning out your own inner demons and setbacks and all of those things, to be a better individual, to be a productive person in society, be a better mate to your partner. I think that's the other thing that we forget for those who are gifted successfully to the world. But we have to ask ourselves, are we gifted and successful in God's eyes?
mhm.
Because when we have that judgment day, I don't want God to turn his back on me. I don't.
Right.
So that's what my partner, I call my hubby my partner on purpose. Those are the things that he reminds me of. Like,
Mhm,
you could be good for them, but how is your relationship with God? Are you getting that house in
mm,
order? Because once you get that house in order, it reflects everything else on the outside.
mm.
So it's about that good company. I need people to challenge me. I always call him the brakes to my accelerator.
Yeah. No, that's important too, to surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you. And so, one mentor that I had in life mentioned, like, you want to be around people who are doing better than you, because that's how you're going
Hmm.
to learn. You're going to ask questions. You're going to want to know and when you do that, I mean, you just continue to expound on your networking system and your community, and you get in those places that are going to challenge you,
Hmm.
and it's okay. I mean, you're not going to know it in the beginning, but you definitely know where you're going. And when you surround yourself with people that are already doing it, you're going to benefit from their growth,
Hmm.
because they're going to want to
Absolutely.
give those nuggets right back to you. And that's definitely what this podcast has done, Dr. Dom. You have been a nugget dropping guest on this show. I hope people are writing down notes and going, oh my gosh, that's so good. Um, as we start kind of going to our wrap up, what would you want someone listening who may be struggling with maybe the same thing to hear from you today?
I always like to say, using my acronym of my first name, DOM, diligence outweighs mediocrity.
Hmm.
Align your actions with intentions, and every rose has its thorn, but the beauty of the flower makes that pain worth it in the end. You got to realize that the pain was used to strengthen your character, build your character. Let your journey be a message to somebody else, so they don't have to go through the things that you have to go through. And as long as you got breath in your lungs, you have the power and ability to take charge of your destiny and change your story, and allow God to orchestrate the events in your life. And everything I'm telling you, it applies to me.
Yes. I love that you said that, Dr. Dominique, because I try to be a lead by an example and true example. Like I'm not going to tell you something that I haven't told myself or tried
Mhm.
myself. I love that you said that. But you also remind us that it's not about trying harder. It's about understanding ourselves with more compassion. Like that's what
Mhm.
that I'm taking away from your message.
Yeah.
For us to
I'm,
slow down.
I'm just a, I'm just a learning that to give people more grace. Now that I've been with different kind of walks of people in your life, and really be grateful that you didn't have to be in situations and circumstances where this was your only option or this was your only form of language for a
Mm,
long time. It makes you have a greater appreciation for your upbringing and what you were introduced, and then have more compassion and more grace for those who didn't have it, and then also be around people that help you exceed, because it all goes back to what my grandmother always told me: if you are the smartest person in your circle, you need a new circle.
yeah.
And you can learn anything from anybody, from a child to a homeless man to a junkie. You can learn any from anybody, because God could use anybody. And children have always been one of my greatest influences, because they remind me of their innocence, their creativity, their imagination, their wonder. That's what keeps my inner child alive when I see children doing the things that they are supposed to do. And that's how my uncle felt about me. That's why I'm getting emotional again. He loved me so much that he was so concerned of my innocence.
Mm,
And if I could draw that and give that to another child, that's a blessing in itself.
mm. That's such wise way of looking at the world and just the impact that we can bring into the world. I've heard before someone say people don't remember what you do or what you say, but they definitely remember how you make them feel. And
Yeah.
I believe in that 100%. So I try to be intentional about every engagement, interaction, because I want
Mhm.
somebody to feel better off than before we met,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well, Dr. Dominique, if you could leave our listeners with one thought, truth, or word of encouragement, what would you say? What would it be?
Um, an inspirational vision. It's not a pipe dream. Give it a chance to mature and reveal its true potential.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. I hope you guys are listening out there. And then, Dr. Dominique, before we close, if people listening want to connect with you or learn more about your work, how can they do so?
I don't like to give a whole bunch of links because it could be confusing. So I'm
Sure.
just gonna give everybody my link tree, slash DOM0922. That's my link tree slash DOM0922. You can learn all about me, my social media channels, my checklist on 8 tips to consider before getting a massage. Because 60% of people really don't know what to do before they get a massage. And that
Mm.
includes vets and rookies. So
Mm.
you'd be surprised when you go on the link tree, you'll see the checklist.
Ooh, well, I'm going to check it out because I do like massage therapy. So I'm definitely going to go check that out. Dr. Dominique, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story and your growth with us.
Thank
What I
you.
love about conversations like this is it's a reminder that transformation isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, healing, and intention.
Yes.
When we tend to the root, the fruit changes naturally. So, to
Yes.
those that are listening, take a moment to reflect which inner quality feels hardest right now and what part of your story might be asking for more care. For me, my faith is where that healing begins. And if you're curious about that journey, you're always welcome here. No pressure, no judgment, just space to grow. So until next time, friends, stay rooted, stay real, and stay growing. I'm Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.